Welcome to my video, how to hand make this isohedron pendant. Completely hand fabricated out of silver sheet and this little bail there. I start with this image that I traced off of the internet with using my phone as a light table. You can check out how I do that on previous videos. So then I copy it on a machine. And now you got your exact copies of the same image. And so what I do next is I super glue it, cut it out, and leave a tiny little 1 millimeter edge around the side. Cut it out, got your sheet, I put some rubbing alcohol on there, and then I clean the rubbing alcohol off so that there's no oils. There's my little dog. And now I got some super glue. Put a generous amount on there so when you press down on it, it squeezes out on the sides, because the last thing you want is a part of it that's not glued down when you're doing all the detailed hand cutting. Super gluing, super gluing. There we go. Done. Alright, so it's super glued on there. So now I'm going to cut the shape of it out of the sheet. Now what I'm doing is I'm cutting perfectly along the image. I'm not leaving excess material. So you can see a little zoomed in there. I'm going right on the outside of that line. Now I'm going to drill through it with a 1 millimeter ball burr. I use a ball burr instead of a drill bit because a drill bit will travel on you, which means you'll go to drill and it'll kind of move. So I'm drilling out in the inside of each one of those designs so that you can thread the saw blade through the hole I just drilled and then cut out the piece. Same thing as cutting out along the outside. I'm cutting on the edge of the design, not the middle of the line. I'm cutting on the outside of the line, the little black line on the paper. Okay, so now you can see closer up what I'm doing. Now those corners, those triangle corners, those are difficult. So what you do to change the direction of the saw blade is you saw up and down in one spot when you go to the corner without going forward. You just saw up and down, and you rotate the saw blade at the same time, and it will cut the corner for you. Alright, cutting away. Only cut one here on film because it's kind of redundant to show you both of them. Now those cuts are real, it's all real precise because it's geometry, but those cuts right there go to a really sharp point. So what I do is I cut down to the point instead of turning that corner. See, I cut down to the point and then cut down to the point to make it real sharp. There we go. So peeling off the paper. Now I'm getting in there with a file, this thin little file, and you get in there and straighten those edges, straighten those lines. So if there's because there's always going to be part where you begin cutting after you threaded through where it's going to be a little wobbly. So to get those parts, you gotta angle the file. See right there, angle it to get that really sharp right there. So you can see I come in there from the side, and it makes that corner there really sharp. All right, now I'm truing up the outside. There we go. Continuing to true up. I guess for this part I filmed both of them. Cleaning off some of that super glue. To get the super glue to come off of there, I froze it in the freezer, and then it just peeled off really easy if you work on it directly out of the freezer. All right, cleaning it up, making sure the corners meet each other. All right, next is dapping, which makes it doming. So I got this little copper bowl, and I got this rounded end item, and now I'm gently tapping and going around and around and around, and you really want to do this part thoroughly. You don't just like tap it like 20 times. No, you tap each one a bunch of times so that it becomes really smoothly bent into shape, domed. And you don't hammer hard because you will just squish the metal and dent it. All right, so now we got those domed out. Now what that is silver solder. Silver solder is made out of silver. So you cut little like 2mm strips, and then you clip those out about 1mm, 2mm, and you do different sizes because there's different size solder that you want for different jobs. So now I got my solder. That's hard solder, which means it melts at the highest temperature. I only use hard solder. All right, there's boric acid and rubbing alcohol, and that creates a coating on the silver that protects the copper in the sterling alloy, because the torch is an oxygen propane torch, and so there's oxide in it. So now I'm hitting it up, soldering each end, and before I did this, I sat there and lined that thing up and just with magnification really lined it up. Soldered together. Now soldering on the bale, it takes tries. What you do is you attach it on there to the best eye straightened and level, the best you can, and then you look at it and assess it, and then you put it on there just a little bit different to make it all lined up. Don't worry about not soldering it on there straight the first time. That time took me about 4 different times to put it on there perfectly straight. Okay, so that pickle, that blue solution was, it just dissolves the boric acid off. All right, so what I'm doing now is you solder the bale on to the absolute best you can, but there still might be just a tiny little bit of tweaking to get it just perfectly straight. So that I don't worry about getting it on there 100% straight. I soldered it on like 95% straight, and then I bend it later. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm showing you how to make a sanding disc, sanding drum. So this is 1500 grit sandpaper. And that one's all worn out, so I'm going to make a new one. You got your sandpaper, cut like a 2-inch strip. And now you got your duct tape it on there, and then you roll it up. And you want to roll it up to the way that the rotation tool is going to spin. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm sanding off the whatever little dents and stuff are on the metal from working it and getting it ready to be polished. This 1500 grit, you can go right to the polish wheels afterwards because it's such a fine detail. Okay, so that is a little rubber wheel. I'm polishing up the part that the sanding drum was too wide to get. And you don't want to just sand down the bale. So what I'm doing now is I'm going around the outside. And now what this is a magnetic tumbler. You throw it in the tumbler for like 10 minutes. And what that does is it polishes the inside metal. See, there's metal on the inside of this design. And you'd never be able to polish that. Or if you did want to polish that, it'd just take forever. So throw it in there. Now we're going to high polish it. And you hold it with two hands, but I'm just showing you how you just do it real quick here with the camera in one hand. All right, so now it's perfectly polished, high polished. It's going in the ultrasonic cleaner to get that polishing compound off of the item. And voila, turned out beautiful. This thing is really cool. Please share this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you.